One thing I've noticed with Netflix is if they like you on one of their shows, they're going to use you on whatever new shows come up. So seeing Zaina on this episode, it makes sense. It makes sense. They are constantly sort of reinventing their people that they like in other shows. And I actually loved this episode better. I think the ladies' episode, they were very superficial. They didn't take time to get to know the person, whereas the guys, I think, took a lot more time to know the person before they popped the balloon. So I loved that. I think all three girls were actually amazing. I'm pleasantly surprised at Casey that she agreed to sort of lock it in with that guy, because I didn't expect that. And Zaina, it makes sense. It makes sense why she should lock it in with Cinco. But anyway, hey there. Thanks for stopping by. It's Valerie. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe, click the like button, turn on the notification bell for when I upload new videos, and definitely leave a comment. In this episode, I'll be reviewing Pop the Balloon, Season 1, Episode 2. Episode 2 is actually better. It is actually better than episode 1. It's interesting to note. Anyway, so this time it's girls coming out and the guys are standing up on the stage. So you have 8 guys with their balloons, and then they'll be popping if they don't like the girl, or keeping their balloons inflated if they do. First out is Angela. She's a trainee dentist. She's 25 years old. She's only got 1 more year to go before the end of her program. She is stunning. I love her. I'm not sure about her dress though. I think she should have worn a different color, because her dress and the complexion sort of match, and you can't sort of make out her dress. Even a little black dress would have been better. Anyway, her first question to the guys is, where do you see yourself in 5 to 10 years? First up, we get to meet Javin. He's 23. He's a media marketer. And he says, in 5 to 10 years, he sees himself working as a personal trainer and into fitness. Plus, he wants to be owning his own gym. We have Seth. Seth is 33. He is planning on starting a family in 5 to 10 years, because obviously he's 33 years old. We meet Yinka. Yinka is Nigerian. He's a pharmacist. And he says in 5 to 10 years, he sees himself helping children, because he thinks a lot of children are sort of more focused on being on electronic gadgets instead of doing things that sort of improve their quality of life. And so he's asked, what tribe are you? He says Yoruba. And so she is immediately taken aback, because, Angela says she's heard about the Yoruba demons, so she's worried about that. Next, we meet Logan. Logan is 24. He's a dog walker, and he says, I barely know what I'm doing tomorrow. What I can promise you is we'll have an amazing time, but I barely know what I'm doing tomorrow, so I can't have a 5-year plan for you. All I can promise is you'll have a good time. Next is Cinco. Cinco is 29. He's an actor. He's a model. And so he's also he says he's a personal trainer, and he says in 5 to 10 years, he hopes he'll be landing more roles and sort of be in more movies, more TV shows, and that sort of thing. And then you have Dylan. Dylan is 25. He's a real estate investor. He, wants to travel, and he wants to sort of have raised enough money, I think, to sort of retire early, and then he'll be able to travel. He's recently been to Egypt. You had, Angela asking him about a restaurant just outside the pyramids or stuff. And he said he hadn't been there. And it's like, is she trying to catch him out or what? Because when she was asked, have you been there? She said, no, I haven't been there. And it's like, so why are you asking him about something that you don't know about, love? We have Ronaldo. Ronaldo is 25. He's a multimedia producer, and he says, his goal in 5 to 10 years is to be landing more jobs and sort of increase it, working on his company to make sure that it grows and it becomes bigger. That's good for him. We end up with Floyd. Floyd is 29. He's a pilot, and he says he still has 400 hours to go before he can become an airline pilot, and that's his goal, to become an airline pilot. And I thought that was cute. So all the guys were there with their balloons still inflated, and then you had Angela be told she needed to pop 3 balloons. So she went, and the first one she popped was Seth, because she said she didn't like his answer, so that's why she popped his balloon. And it's like, I thought Seth was good. Maybe he's a bit older for her, but I actually thought he was good. Well, as soon as she did that, Ronaldo popped his balloon, and he said, he popped his balloon because she's not his type. He prefers lighter skinned girls, and he prefers Latinas, so she's not the one for him. And it's like, well, what can you do if somebody's not feeling it? Yeah, they're not feeling it. You then have Angela also pop Dylan's balloon. She said due to height. And it's like, if you're saying he's short, what are we saying about Logan? Because Logan and Dylan are the same height. I don't quite get it. And it was really sad because you could tell he really liked her. And then the next question asked was, if I ran into your... Well, the guys asked questions first. Sorry, I nearly skipped a part there. You had... Javin asked, are you and your ex still friends? And she said no, I blocked them off as soon as things end. And he said, how soon? And she said, immediately. That's the type of person I am. I block him immediately. And it's like, wow. Yinka asks, what is your big deal about Yoruba people? And she said, well, all I've heard about is Yoruba demons, so this is why I am trying to stay clear. And it's like, well, you can't go by somebody else's experience. You need to wait until you've experienced it. Then you can make up your mind. With Logan, his question was, what exactly about what you do that you like? And she says, I love restoring people's confidence because people at times are affected by their smile. So just getting to fix people's teeth and getting to see the confidence sort of instilled in them is what I like. Cinco asks, what do you like to do during your spare time or on a night out? And she says she likes to go to galleries. She likes to attend pop-ups. She's not, she said, I don't like staying indoors, but that doesn't mean I'm going to the club, which was really cute. Floyd's question was, how do you deal with have you dealt with conflict in your previous relationships? And she said, she deals with respect and no raised voices, because she feels if you are disrespecting one another, if you are swearing, if you are raising voices, then the two of you don't need to be together. Maybe it's time for you to keep it stepping. I'm just like, oh, that's sad. Angela then popped Floyd's balloon because she said he was very reserved. And it's like, oh, why would you do that? Cinco popped his balloon because he said he's getting friendship vibes from Angela, so that's why he's doing that. And it's like, oh, that's really sad. I don't quite get it. Why would you do that? And then Angela now has 3 people. So she had Yinka, Logan, and she had Javin. So her next question is, if I ran into your ex, what would they say about you? With Javin, his response was, I'm very guarded, I'm very clean, and I'm very stubborn. She asked him about his star sign. He said, I'm a Cancer. Yinka says, I love to eat. I'm very adventurous and I'm very straightforward. Surprised? Nah. Logan was, he's kind and he can never end things with anyone. So, which was really sad though, because I don't know. I really don't quite get it. Then, she was asked to pop on balloons. So she popped Logan, which left Yinka and Javin as the remaining 2. So obviously there's 2 guys left and you have Angela and the guys step forward. The next question Angela asks is, what is the single hardest thing about dating you? Javin says, I need to know you, so I'll talk to multiple people before I decide on who I want to date, and then from there I will pursue you. And it's like, Javin is just saying nonsense because he doesn't want this girl, but he doesn't want to be the one that pops the balloon for her. So he's going to pretend to be a good guy because what in his head told him that was a good response? I don't get it. Yinka says, he needs time. We need to be friends first before jumping into a romantic relationship, and he needs to gain clarity on religion, and he needs the person to be straightforward. That way it makes sense to him. And it's like, wow. Angela then pops Javin's balloon because she says, she can't be in this multiple race whereby he's talking to multiple people before he decides what he wants. So Yinka has the opportunity to ask a question, and his question to Angela is, what is it about your faith that makes you excited? And she said the sense of peace that it gives her, reading scripture, going to church, and sort of being in a community with others. And so then Yinka has the opportunity to make a decision, and he popped her balloon. And it's like, Yinka, you went all this way just to dump this girl. She already lost you when she said about the Europe people, but you just wanted to be in the mix, so you kept going until the very end, because his reason doesn't make sense. He said, he didn't get why she asked about the horoscopes. As a Christian, he doesn't believe in horoscopes, so he doesn't get why she asked about that. That's sort of lack of consistency, and the fact that she asked about something she didn't know about, so why was she asking about it? And that makes her sort of inconsistent, and he wants someone who's consistent, someone who's going to be straightforward. And it's like, why would you do that to her? I liked her. Anyway, so Angela is then told, that's the end. It's time to leave. And Logan blows her a kiss as she's walking off the stage. Logan is a fool. He is a fool. I don't even know what that kiss was about, but hey, it is what it is. You can always follow her off the stage. So next up, we get a new girl, and it's like, okay, let's go. Her name is Casey. She's 31. She's from North Carolina. She works apparently for a sports media company, but she didn't tell us what her role is. She says she wants someone to bring her out of her shell into a feminine energy, because she's been focused on work for quite some time. She wants someone to complement her life. And then her deal breakers are someone who has no ambition, someone who's selfish, someone who doesn't ask questions. I think she wants someone who's willing to learn and is constantly very inquisitive. So we had 3 guys immediately pop their balloons. First, it was Floyd. He said he popped his balloon because of her legs. Her legs were exposed, and she wants the mystery of finding out. And it's like, but the previous girl had her legs out. You didn't pop your balloon. Make it make sense. You could have easily said she wasn't your type. I think it was more to that than just the legs. Ronaldo popped his, he said, because of the age, because she's 31, and so he felt he was too young for her because he's only 25. And she, as soon as he said that, Casey said, she's always dated people that are older than her, up until sort of 15 years older than her. She's open to that. And as soon as she said that, Javin popped his, because obviously he's younger. He's 23, I think. So which then left the rest of the guys. Next was Casey's question, which is, what is the most positive thing you took away from your last relationship? And first up was Seth. Seth said, a wonderful family background. It can impact a relationship. And also, it allows the relationship to flourish. I think what he was more or less saying was, if someone has a positive experience from their family growing up, they're more likely to sort of reflect that in their relationship with the person they're in a relationship with, as compared to if they're coming from a toxic background, then they're going to do the same. He later popped his balloon because he said, Casey had better chemistry with Logan, so he felt it was time for him to bow out. Yinka, he said communication is what he took away from his last relationship, that it's very important for you and your partner to have communication, otherwise the relationship is not going to work. He popped his balloon because he said there was no vibe. I think a lot of guys used vibes as an excuse. Logan said he took away communication as well. He felt communication was an essential tool in any relationship, which I can accept. Cinco said commitment. It has allowed him to be ready for marriage, so he took away the importance of commitment in a relationship. He later popped his balloon because he said there was no spark between him and Casey. We had Dylan. Dylan, he said, he learned to sort of anticipate things like, getting a glass for his partner before she goes to sleep, or just kind gestures, acts of service is more or less what he's learned. He popped his balloon, but we didn't get to hear his excuse for popping the balloon. I don't get why we didn't get to hear that. And then we had Logan. So Logan was the last guy left, and he was asked to ask a question, and he said, what are your favorite movies? And you had Casey say it was White Chicks and the Titans. I've never watched Titans. I've watched White Chicks, but I haven't watched the other movie. And, I don't know. I think you could have asked a better question. I think Logan was just there to be on TV and make a good impression. That's the impression that I got. you had Casey ask Logan, if I was having a bad day, what would you do to make my day better? And he said, I'll get you food and I'll take you out. You wouldn't need to worry about paying for anything. And so that would be us. So then they got to the, are you going to pop the last balloon or are you going to lock it? Logan decided to lock it. Casey decided to lock it. So they left as a couple. I think it was just that they got along very well. Do I see this lasting long term? I don't think so. I really don't. I don't want to lie. So it's interesting that next up we have Zaina. When she came out, I was like, oh my God, this girl's face is familiar. Who is this? Who is this? Only to find out it's Zaina from the Ultimatum. And I'm like, girl, what are we doing here? Netflix, what they're going to do is they're going to use their people. They're going to use their people. Anyway, next up is Zaina. She's 33. We saw her on the Ultimatum the last season. She now lives in LA. She says that she's an entrepreneur for wellness space. And so she says her red flags are people who are indecisive, poor communicators. And so she's looking for an intentional dater. And she doesn't want someone with poor communication when there's conflict, poor conflict management, more or less. And so that was amazing to see her because we all know she left single. She broke up with her partner. I can see his face, but I don't remember his name. Anyway, we have Floyd immediately pop his balloon, and he said he popped his balloon because apparently she knows Cinco. They met at Coachella, so he said he didn't want to sort of cock block his boy, so he popped his balloon, and she was like, "Oh, it is what it is." So she then asked, she wants an emotionally intelligent man, and she said, when was your last relationship and what lesson did you learn from that relationship? You have Rolando popped his balloon because he said because of the age gap, he's in his 20s, she's 31 or 32, so it didn't. She's 33 actually, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, she's 33. So he said it doesn't make sense for him. You have Javin say, even though he's the youngest in the group, he's still going to keep his balloon inflated and hope for the best. I think he liked the way she looked. Because we had Logan leave, he was replaced by Marco. Marco is 29. He's a stand-up comedian. He popped his balloon because he said, when he was explaining about himself, he felt that Zaina was very judgy, and so that's why he popped his balloon. I think he realized that if he didn't pop his balloon, she wasn't going to pick him, so he didn't want to be embarrassed, so that's why he did that. Javin, well, he said his last relationship was 6 years ago, and it left him with trust issues. And he then asked her, what type of friend are you? And she said she's a ride or die. She will be there to help her friend set up. She'll be there to hold her friend's hand if they're crying. She's always the support system for her friends. With Javin, he said he feels more like the dad of the group. He feels like he's the one who's always taking responsibility and making plans for a lot of things that they do, which was like, oh, okay. Seth was next. He revealed that he's a physiotherapist and he's also a DJ. I think he was trying to sort of make a good impression. He really wanted to know who he is as a man. I don't remember him telling us what he did for a living the last time. Anyway, he said his last relationship was 3 years ago and he's learned not to prioritize his dreams because it seemed he was more focused on his dreams and his ambitions and didn't pay as much attention to his partner. He asked, what are your red flags in a man? And she said someone who's not loyal. I think she said someone who's not loyal to her because of the trust issues she had with her partner. He cheated with the partner he swapped it during their season. I think that's one of the reasons why. She also said someone who runs away from conflict. And sadly, Seth popped his balloon because he felt that, Zaina had a better connection with somebody else, which makes sense. Yinka was said not to neglect red flags as they can become deeper red the longer they stay red. So you need to be mindful of that. And his question was, how have you helped someone in your life to be better? And she said her friend went through a breakup, so she was being a listening ear and a support system for her friend. He popped his balloon because he felt that chemistry was missing between the two of them. I think everybody was intimidated by the fact that she knew Cinco and she seemed to be leaning more towards Cinco, and this is why a lot of the guys pop their balloons. Cinco said, putting my career aside, and his question was, what is your purpose or your calling? And she said helping others in the fitness and wellness space. They were sort of flirting. I think this is why everybody felt intimidated. He didn't tell us when his last relationship was, though. Dylan said his last relationship was a year ago, and he said, I need to listen and hold space. He popped his balloon. Well, she popped his balloon because of his height. She said he's too short, which was really sad. And then her question was, it's 7 p.m. I had a stressful week. What are you doing to sort of help me sort of get over this? You had Javin, because Javin and Cinco were the two left. Javin said, leave the city, change of scenery. And, she popped this balloon because she had a stronger connection with Cinco. It made sense. Cinco more or less said the same thing. He said spa day and be some sort of competitive date, something to distract her from whatever she's going through. And then Cinco said, I'm a Christian just like Yinka, but I want to check. I want a partner who has some sort of belief or faith. I'm not saying you should be Christian, but I want someone who has something that they believe in, a higher power. And so she said she's Christian, and they sort of locked it in. Am I surprised? No. I think they wanted to give it a go to see how well it went, and whether or not it succeeded, it would determine the future of their relationship. So I'm happy for them. I root for love. This time we had two couples lock in, which was good because the guys seemed more serious about what they were looking for. The girls were very superficial on their episode. The guys seemed more serious, which I loved. Anyway, thanks guys for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and click the link in my video to watch my review from episode 1. Bye guys.